Welcome to Art Nomad. I'm your host, Eric, and this week's theme is raw. My guest is artist Gary Copeland. He is a writer, poet, a photographer, and a boxer. Oh, and he also plays chess, and I play chess, and we play chess together. And he's very good at chess. When I picked the theme raw, it was very easy with Gary. It was the first thing I thought of. With other artists, it takes me a bit more time to come up with a theme, but with Gary, it was easy because he is the he is the definition of raw in my eyes. The guy is unfiltered. He's honest. He's emotionally direct. I mean, with Gary, what you see is what you get, and that's rare, and it's great. In our interview, we're going to jump into that rawness that he possesses and talk about being committed and staying true to that. We'll also talk about why living authentically might be the most important creative practice of all. But before I get to that, I want to talk about the second artist I thought of when I came up with this theme of raw. And that artist is Marina Abramovic. I discovered her in school, and she's still making art today. And she definitely carries zero filter in her work. Her work is always unflinching, and sometimes it makes you a bit nervous. And she never apologizes for anything, so it's great. One project to tell you about is the Great Wall of China. She was with her partner Ule. They were living in a van, traveling and making art together, madly in love. And they decided that they would each start at one end of the Great Wall of China, and they would walk, and then they would eventually meet in the middle and get married, which is a beautiful concept. It took a long time for them to figure that out. The Chinese government didn't make it easy. It actually took them 8 years to get permission. And things changed in their life over those 8 years that they decided to do this thing and make the journey that they invested so much in. And so they started off. It was, it was 1,500 miles of walking for each of them, each 1,500. And it took them 3 months, about 3 months to get there. They each traveled with a translator along the way. However, during the trip, Ule had an affair with his translator. As they finally ended this journey and were getting close to the middle, it was Marina who saw Ule approaching, and she had to think, this is the man that I had planned to marry. This is the man that I had made so much art with, the person that I had built my life with. And there was a decision to be made. In the end, they talked. They decided not to get married. After all those miles and all that time and all that history together, there was nothing left to do but hug each other and say goodbye. Maybe another story that's even more raw than that happened before the Great Wall of China. It was called Rhythm O, with just Marina. And what she did was she sat in a gallery. She had a table, and she had 72 items on the table. There were some items that were friendly, like a feather, a rose, a mirror, perfume, a piece of bread. And then there were these other items on the table that were more aggressive, like a whip, a razor blade, scissors, a knife. There was even a gun there, and the gun had a single bullet right next to it. The idea was that Marina allowed the audience to have complete freedom and control over her with these items. They could do whatever they wanted, and they would meet no resistance. They were in charge. It started out friendly enough, but as the evening wore on, the more aggressive items came out more and more. Even the rose, which was meant to be a beautiful, peaceful item, the thorns of the rose were jabbed into her stomach at one point. There was someone who took the knife and cut her neck and then drank her blood. Her clothes were cut off her body. And this just continued as the performance wore on. At one point, someone picked up the gun, put the bullet in the gun, and pointed it at her head. Now, you got to imagine what Marina was thinking this whole time, but she did nothing. She sat there and she accepted what was given to her. What's interesting about the performance is that there's a beauty in what's being revealed, but there's a brutality in what's being revealed. And it really shines a light on who we are as a human race. And that's what I love about her work. There's no, for her, she's not presenting any polished version of what life should be. She's exposing what life is. Um, and I love that she's always trying to get at the truth behind things. We as as humans, we try to build up these walls, and she, as an artist, has spent most of her life trying to tear down those walls so that we can see what's actually behind them. Now, she's a very different artist than Gary, but they both share that rawness, and they both share this idea that there's never any irony in the work. They all both have a love for curiosity. And when sharp things show up, they're not afraid of that. They welcome it in whatever shape and form that comes in. So I'm excited to talk to Gary in this next hour and explore raw, not just as a aesthetic style, but really as a way of moving through life authentically and what that means. So with that, let's jump into our interview with Gary Copeland. Gary Copeland, welcome to Art Nomad. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
You're a friend of mine, and I'm lucky to have you on this podcast. I chose the theme raw because it was probably one of the first words I thought of when I knew I'd be interviewing you, and I think it sums you up perfectly as a person. For example, when I first met you, I was interviewing you for a potential job. I was working at an advertising agency. You were the photographer that we needed, or one of the options, and we were on a Zoom call, and you showed up with absolutely no facade. You were exactly who you were. You were talking about hanging out the night before and drinking too much with your dirtbag friends, and listening to heavy metal music all night. And here you were the next morning on this phone call. You just are who you are. You have no facade. You have no mask. And I think it's a fitting word for you and for the artwork you do, and also just you as a person. So that is how the theme came about. I want to jump right into the questioning about your photography, because I think you, for most of your life, you've been a professional photographer, and that's how you've made a living. But then you also have your artistic photography. And I'm curious if you can talk about those two types of photography. I would imagine the professional photography, you get told what to do quite often, and maybe there's some limitations there and you can't be as raw as you want to be, but then you have your artistic photography, and I want to hear about that balance between the two.
Yeah, well, commercial work is defined in its name, right? It is for the explicit it's in the explicit service of selling things, often selling things that people don't need. And I'm part of that process. And
Me too.
yeah, right. Probably a lot of the people that are listening to this are going to be. But yeah, it's for the most part all I've ever done. And really the way that came about is when I first started shooting, everything was personal work because I had no other reference. So you start in this place of creating images that in the beginning you're not very good and only really have meaning for you. At some point and over time, as your skill develops and as you are on this journey a bit longer, you're able to not only service sort of your own likes and wants out of the image, but you can turn that skill and turn those images into the service of, say, someone else, say Eric on a T-Mobile set. So the commercial work that I shoot today, while yes, in the service of a company or an agency or a creative director, really its genesis comes from me many years ago, just wanting to create images that I thought were cool.
Yeah. And I noticed in your background you have quite a few photographs of Ouija.
Yeah.
And you've collected him as a photographer, and you've mentioned him to me as well as an influence. Could you talk a bit more about his impact on your photography, and also a little bit about who he is for our audience?
Yeah. So for those that aren't informed of Ouija's work, Arthur Fellig was his name. He was a immigrant to New York who was, through sort of a chain of events, handed a camera, and he began shooting for sort of tabloid newsprint publications in the early 1900s to the 20s. So that was sort of his period. A lot of people are aware of his work with the crime scene photos of New York at night, the famous shots of people lying covered in a tarp because they had been murdered. And he realized very quickly that if he could get to the crime scene first, he could get the first image and then sell the image to the newspaper for the next day, and he could begin making money, right? So he understood the power of getting there, documenting, quickly turning it, and he was very commercially minded. Unbeknownst to him, he was a genius photographer, a brilliant artist, and a renegade of this craft that I love so much. Much of his work has informed my work, both like explicitly and metaphorically, for lack of a better term. His use of flash, his ability to shoot powerful imagery in the dark. I mean, these are things that I also find in my own work and trace myself to Ouija in that his inspiration has sort of driven my body of work in that direction.
Yeah, he's great.
I mean,
He's great.
Naked City is arguably, maybe, so in my mind, probably one of the greatest like complete photo works ever created, certainly by an American photographer. So yeah, I collect a lot of Ouija. There's a lot of Ouija in my office.
He's got great circus photography as well.
Great circus photography. He was hired by Barnum and Bailey. He came out to Hollywood. He did a lot of experimentation with prisms and mirrors, and he was just like kind of an all-around sort of interesting character. I should probably mention that the way he got the name Ouija is, you know, these cops, they would show up and they'd be like, how the hell did you get here? And he had been given a radio scanner, a police scanner. English was not his first language. So he said he had a Ouija board, or he sort of like, he conjured this idea of himself of being able to predict these crimes and being on the case before the cop. So in any case, yeah, huge fan, huge influence. It's probably top 2, top 3 for me.
Great. Okay. Moving on, so we talked about the commercial, non-commercial photography that you have. Shortly after I met you, I received an email from you, and it was one of your Friday emails, which is titled, "The Kids Will Have Something to Say, Something to See on a Friday?"
Yeah, something good to see on a Friday.
Something good to see on a Friday, right?
Yeah.
I always love getting them, and to me, they're one of those raw expressions of you as an individual creating something. And I was curious why you send those.
I was traveling a lot in the beginning of my career, and it was a way for me to keep in touch with friends that I would collect on these shoots. Not every shoot, but it was a way for me to keep in touch with the world and let people know like where I was at, both like physically where I was at, but also like where I was at in my head. And it also became this outlet for personal, like we just talked about, personal work, images that were not meant to sell anything. These were just images that I was capturing in my life. And it's abstract. There is writing associated with the photos. Sometimes it's connected, sometimes it's not. I think the reason I choose to include the words is because I also have something to say. And sometimes my personal photography, my personal work is so abstract in that it's not abstract in its form. It's not like I'm taking abstract images, but the thought that I have surrounding the image is very abstract. And when I show it to somebody, or when I send these emails, if I didn't have anything sort of structuring the thought around an image or a particular set of images, I would be like, well, God only knows what people are thinking I'm doing or thinking about. Or, I mean, some of the images are some of my favorite images I've taken, right? Like ever. And some of the images are complete throwaway snaps that like resonate only to me. And so by putting words around these photos, it sort of creates, it's not the meal. Like the meal is the photos, but the words is like the plate, right? You can't eat the meal without the plate. You need the plate to put it on, otherwise it's just a mess, right? So I always see the photos are the point. I'm a photographer, right? This is like ultimately like how I'm communicating with people.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why the words are there.
Do you mind reading one of your emails so that we can hear some of these words that you're talking about?
Yeah, and for the audience at home, Eric asked me to do this, and I do want to preface this. These are, at least for now and for the last forever, this is a private email list sent to people that I know. It's not like publicly facing. That's not to say it won't be one day, but for right now, it's not. So I'll read one that is from July of last year. So not even a year ago. So I was in Rome visiting my wife's family. So Rome is a memory for me. Debris from a life not lived. Somewhere out there, frozen in the atmosphere, I peer more closely because of lunacy. Obsessing over images that aren't mine, but feel as though they would be. Then she reminds me over and over again with unyielding honesty. Kill the weekend.
And you always end with kill the weekend, which I love.
I always end with kill the weekend because they're always sent on a Friday. And I hope people are having a good weekend.
Okay, great. I want to take a pause here and bring in my neighbor Robert, who's also a great photographer. He was actually out of town when I recorded this, so I caught up with him a few days later to get his take on our theme, raw. Okay, Robert. First of all, we're doing a podcast and the theme is raw. When you think of raw, what do you think of?
Ever since I've been a little kid and being a photographer and everything, everybody used to call my nickname Raw.
Why would they call you Raw?
Because the initials of my name are Raw. Robert Allen Whitman. R-A-W.
I knew your first and last name. I never knew your middle name was Alan. So your name is literally Raw.
Yeah, it's Raw. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's very cool. What is your favorite raw food?
My favorite raw food is enchiladas with lots of black beans and a little rice.
Okay, but that's cooked. So is there anything like completely raw that you like to eat?
I love ice cream. Ice cream.
I guess ice cream's raw.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very raw.
Do you like raw meat or fish or any of that stuff?
I'm allergic to shellfish, and if I have any shellfish, I will die. So I
Don't eat anything. Don't eat any shellfish.
I'm not going to eat any shellfish, and at least Eric is here to hopefully.
I'll help you. When you eat meat, how do you like it cooked?
I like it medium and burned on the outside.
Medium burned on the outside. Okay. That's not very raw.
Well done bacon. It's just a dream of mine.
And I think you told me the other day you like to purposely burn your toast.
I like burnt toast, burnt everything. I love it.
When do you feel most unfiltered?
I would say at the gym in the shower.
Okay.
I think it couldn't be any more filtered than that.
Okay, or unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
What was the last thing that left you emotionally raw?
I would say when my mother died, I was really devastated. And then also when my father died, I felt very, very raw. And
yeah. And did you wish you could have said more to them?
I wish I could have spent so much more time with them. And the problem was I was a hippie, a crazy guy, and I just gave them so much grief and really we never got to really talk about my family's history, everything. I feel very, it's tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's very,
It's
very hard.
also
Do you think rawness is a strength or a weakness?
total strength, totally strength. Rawness is it's true, it's real. It's all that. Polish is fake.
Great. Hey, thank you very much for the question. The answer. Thank you very much for the answers.
Say that again.
Thank you very much for the answers.
My pleasure, man. To do anything with you is awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. All right, now we're going to get back to our interview with Gary Copeland. I'm curious, when you're hunting for new ideas, or you're hunting for that next step of creativity or artistic expression, like, where do your best thoughts and ideas come from?
You know, it's funny, like you bring it up. This is actually something I've been thinking a lot about. I have two thoughts on the matter, and they're both pretty important in regards to, I can only speak to being a photographer. So the first is start shooting, start moving. The kind of photography that I love, the kind of photography I practice, emphasis on the word practice. You got to start. You have to start shooting. You have to start moving, and you have to go and start seeing things. And then once you see those things, you have to freeze those things and recognize those things and then capture those things. And it's a process of constant movement and constant engagement with the world through this tool, the camera and the lens. And then you're in this state of asking what's next. Like when I'm out shooting, and I was this morning, not because of this podcast, but because it had been a little bit, I was aware also because of this podcast, like, what the hell am I doing out here? Now, I'm like, everyone else is doing something. I've chosen to walk around with a camera and to only notice things. And if something triggers me, then it becomes, we move into the realm of like, oh, I should try and capture this. But once that happens, it's what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? You're always thinking, always searching for that next frame, the next photo you can pull out of life. And in a lot of ways, this is what we do in commercial photography too, right? It's always what's next. I mean, photography is wonderful in that you can create something beautiful and brilliant in a fraction of a second. I mean, a painting takes years, ages, whatever. A photo happens in a fraction of a second. It's why a person who's never taken a photograph before in their life can take a great photo. And it's why a photographer who's been doing it his whole life gets up and goes and just is addicted to the process, because you know that maybe for the last hour you haven't got anything, but there's always another fraction of a second in front of you. There's always a what's next. You're always moving. It's always moving forward. And it's pretty unique in life. It's a unique feeling to really tap into that. And I'm beyond grateful for photography for making me think that way.
Do you ever ask people to take their photograph? Like, do you go up and say, "Can I take your photo?" Or is it always
No.
you as the voyeur?
No, I do. I have enough sort of like, here's the structure. You're being photographed. I'm taking your photograph in my day-to-day life as a commercial photographer. Actually, this morning I was shooting in Venice and
In Venice, California.
Venice, California, right down the road here. Yeah, not Venice, Italy, Venice, California. And, I took a photo and I sort of snuck up on this sort of scene. I took the photo. And then afterwards, the woman, she's like, "You could have just asked me." I said, no, that's the point. Because and I chatted with her for a couple of seconds. I'm like, the minute I ask you is the minute you know you're being photographed, which means you're no longer you.
Mm.
You're you being photographed by me. What I'm trying to do here is take a photograph of you. And I always tell people this. People look best two ways in a photo. The first is when they're being photographed doing something they love. Hands down, that's one way to get a good photo of somebody. The second is when they don't know they're being photographed. And I believe that to my core, and it's bore out over my career. So I always think about that when I'm sort of trying to create a personal body of work. And that's not like, I don't want to, my hope is that people don't look at my work and go like, oh, he's a street photographer. Like, yeah, I take photos on the street. I take photos in houses. I take photos. So I happen to be on the street in Rome and I love it. And there's an energy there and it's a project. But I think what I'm talking about here with people and that translates no matter the scenario you're in.
Got it. I like those two qualities of a good photo. Some good teachings. All right, we've reached a moment in our podcast where we take a commercial break. I like these moments. You can have a drink of water if you want. There you go. All right, buckle up, Gary. Here we go. This podcast is brought to you by blueberries. They are blue. They go in your mouth. They do wonderful things to your body, especially if you're middle-aged. Blueberries are better for you if eaten raw. The theme of this podcast is raw. I don't really have any sponsors, but I eat a lot of blueberries. And Gary, you should too. And you, the viewer, should also eat some blueberries.
I like
there
that
you have
copy.
it.
It's nice. Okay, blueberries. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, eat probably more than a handful of blueberries every morning. It's good for you, There's
I'll
lots
keep
of
that
health.
in mind.
There's lots of health benefits. Food. It's a superfood.
Okay. Noted. Let me write that down.
Go buy some blueberries.
Blueberries, superfood. Got it. Okay.
All right.
Noted.
So we're gonna jump into a P in my podcast. I call it Start or Start, and it's where I attempt to create something with my participant in the podcast. So I have this idea that I think we could do, and it's called 6-word librettos. So it's like a little libretto done with 6 words. You have to write one, I have to write one, and we do it quickly and on the spot. So I'll give you a topic or a word or a phrase, and then you have to write your 6-word libretto back
What
to
is
me.
a libretto?
Oh, it's Italian, man. Come on. It's a little book. I think the translation is a little book. So it's a 6-word book. So basically
is there a structure to it? Like a haiku?
No, it's just 6 words. Just you complete your story in 6 words.
Oh.
You give me the topic, I'll come up with my 6-word story for that topic, and then I will give you a topic. All right?
Okay.
Whatever you want to come up with.
My topic for you is architecture.
Architecture. Okay. I think I came up with something. Architecture topic. Facades are meant to be broken.
Wow. You know what?
I mean, it kind of fits, right?
It totally fits. And there's like a sort of a word play. Very clever. Very clever.
All right. Are you ready for your topic?
Yeah.
Your topic is meat.
Dead animals, dead humans, dead planet.
Always bringing the bright side out of things, Gary.
It was the first thing that came to mind. What do you want from me?
See how this brings out who we are as people.
It kind of does, doesn't it? Yeah.
I used to be told as a kid, keep your sunny side up, but you, sometimes I think you flip that egg over. Let's get back into our interview, shall we?
Yes.
You're a boxer. To me, there's nothing more brutally raw than 2 people getting into a ring and fighting. And I'm curious just to hear a bit more about why you box and what it does for you.
So it's an interesting relationship. we've talked about this, but when you first get your hands wrapped, when you first get in the ring, when you first start sparring, after you sort of develop a little bit of, you kind of get your feet under you, you get your hands wrapped and you get put in these gloves and they're laced up. And so, first of all, someone else laces these gloves up. And once your hands are in those gloves and those laces are tied and they're tight, you can't do anything with your hands. You can't even hold a bottle of water. The only thing that you can do as a human being with gloved hands is what you're meant to do in that ring, which is box, defend yourself, and knock someone out. And I think until like you really have that experience where you can't use you're standing across from somebody and you can't use your fingers, you can't use your digits, you can't grab onto anything. I mean, you're so limited with your hands gloved that it creates a focus unlike anything else in life, especially when someone's throwing at you. Like it creates a focus that cannot be replicated in anything else I do in my life.
Is boxing an art form?
Yeah, boxing is an art form. Boxing is an art form where if the rules by which we say something is artistic are creativity, expression, magic, unexpectedness, focus, it doesn't sort of necessarily hit the last box, which I typically need, which is transference of values, but it hits kind of all the other things. So yeah, boxing is artistic. And I guess some of my favorite artists, I guess, are boxers. So there you go.
Hey, one of my favorite artists is a boxer. His name's Gary Copeland.
Well,
all right. Let's talk about artificial intelligence, shall we?
great.
Our favorite.
Yeah.
I want to know if you think, I probably know the answer to this, but I'd love for you to pontificate a bit. But is AI taking away the rawness within art?
I just had this conversation last night, and I'm so glad we brought it up because I've been thinking about how about I speak to photography and AI?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Let's leave all the other art forms out. The reason photography is special is directly linked, and still to this day directly linked, to what made it special when it was essentially invented as a technology, which is photography, unlike anything else, captures the real, REAL. In real life, it captures something that actually happened to humans in the physical world. That's what makes photography beautiful. That will not be replaced by AI because by its very nature, if you want to capture something in the real world, you do it with a camera. Now, in commercial photography, or let's call it the creation of imagery, AI has a lot to say and keeps eating more and more of it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I love about photography and what made me a photographer, and I think what people hire me for is, at least in the beginning of my career, people were only hiring me to take photos of shit that actually was happening, bands that were actually performing, people that were actually doing things. I mean, I come up from a documentary background. My favorite photographers are documentary photographers.
Right.
I am interested deeply in photography as a thing to just capture what is happening in real life and freezing it in a frame at a fraction of a second. I've never been interested in photography as like, oh, isn't this cool? We've never seen anything like this, and we're going to use a camera and a computer and like, and we're going to, yeah, AI. All right, great. Or maybe not. I don't know. But like the photography that I love, that I'm interested in, is never going to be replaced by AI because by its very nature, it has to take something that, assuming there's something happening in the world that someone wants to photograph, then photography will exist. Now, will there be a market for it? Let's forget the economics of all that. Like, I'm not talking about economics. I'm talking about the art of photography. So I was feeling kind of like there's a lot of conversations about this, and there's a lot of doom and gloom in the photography world about AI. Oh my God, can you believe it? You can just like make a photo of an elephant like flying. It's like, well, yeah, who cares? Go take a photo of a real elephant. Like that I'm interested in. Like the elephant really is real. So
Right.
I guess that's my response to AI and photography.
What are your thoughts on artificial intelligence and music?
I'm very happy that everyone on like my Spotify, my playlist is a human being. Because I'm of a generation that like listen to real humans create real music.
We are lucky to have that.
There were actual humans that felt something enough to write down these notes and words and to express themselves in this way, to create art. The idea that like that AI, artificial intelligence, is going to sort of impose itself on this art form in a way that like you won't be able to tell. I mean, if all you care about is the end product, then good on you. Human beings care about way more than just the end product. We care who took the photo. We care who sang the song. We care about their story. We want to know why they sang it this way. The idea that we're going to discount all of that and it's all going to find its way into sort of like the trash bin of history. I mean, maybe we will one day. I mean, I don't know. I hope it's not during my lifetime. I mean, that would be a pretty weird place to live. Like, you know, it would be a weird, like, I remember listening to like one of these guys this a couple of years ago, and they're like, oh yeah, you'll just be able to like type into Spotify, like, what do you want to listen to? I want to listen to like a black metal song about a candy shop, and it'll just like generate you one. And I'm like, who? Who is this
Why?
for? And why? And like, okay, dude, like you need to leave the house. I have not met a single person who likes any of this. I truly have not. It's like you walk by like a bunch of like crappy bar. It used to be in Austin. You'd walk down 6th Street, like college drinking when I used to go shoot at South by.
Oh yeah, sure.
And my buddy Mike used to say, he had this like joke. I don't even remember it. It was so long ago, but it was like, you just see these like chalk signs. It's like live music. Come in. It's live. It's like, well, is it good? What kind of music is it? Like the idea that people are just so apathetic to their own existence, to their own art, to their own culture, to their own everything, that they're just like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't care what it is. Just blast something into my ears. I don't believe people are.
All right. I want to ask you a question. It's actually advice. My daughter Vanya, she's a great photographer. She takes naturally really good photos, and she does it all with her phone. And I think there's something there for her to follow and to pursue. But I was curious your thoughts on A, should she go into photography, and B, should she put down her phone and pick up a camera instead?
Yes and yes. Going into photography is a weird question because there's like a million ways to make money in your life, but you can also be a photographer. If you happen to be paid to take photos, good on you, but that presents its own complications. Trust me. Okay. But whether I'm paid to take the photos or not, I'm still a photographer, right? So she's still a photographer. Now, the camera thing, we have had this conversation, and it's an interesting one because I am not one of those people who says like the best camera is the one with you, i.e., hint, hint, just get an iPhone. I think that the camera and the lens and the medium, whatever you're recording to, film, a sensor, are important. Photography is not just the skill, it's also the tools. It's also knowing how to manipulate the tools to achieve the desired effect. And when you have a phone that has one input, i.e., you press the button and it takes a photo, it's removing a lot of those tools of the photographic trade or the photographic art. So my feeling is, don't carry a phone. Throw your phone in the garbage, which is what I'd love to do, but I can't. And walk around with a camera that only has one purpose in life. The camera is only meant to do one thing, and that is take a photograph. Camera and lenses only do one thing. A phone does 10 million things. A phone also is constantly reminding you that it's there. It's always notifying you. And like part of the joy of being a photographer is the quiet that happens when you look through that viewfinder. And there's something really, really special and magical about it. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. I mean, like as a sort of like a pit photographer, like I was in mosh pits and concerts, like things were wild. But when you look in that viewfinder, like the world gets quiet because your whole world is just this little box. I imagine war photographers are probably a similar way, or documentary photographers. Like your world gets really small and really narrow, and there's no analog with a phone. So if she loves putting things in boxes and capturing moments with her phone, she's going to love it even more with a real camera. And it's important. It's important that photographers value cameras. It's important that photographers value lenses. Again, photography is linked to its technology. It's linked to its tool set. And yeah, the tools have gotten, I don't even know if they've gotten better, but the tools have gotten like faster and more plasticky and whatever, but it's still like fundamentally the same technology as it was when it was invented. There's a piece of glass and a light sensitive material, and that's a photograph. So,
Right.
so I would suggest that she pursue photography as a wonderful lifestyle, hobby, profession. Yeah, but get a camera. I really feel strongly about this as someone who thinks that cameras are important.
Yeah. All right. Great. Brings us to another commercial break. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, love it.
This podcast is sponsored by nobody. So in lieu of that, you should go see Faces by Cassavetes. Now playing at least one theater somewhere, and most likely nowhere near you. But if you can't make it to the theater, you can always watch it online. The movie is old, there was never a script, the arguments are dangerous, and the tears are real. Hollywood hated Faces because it was too raw. However, it became the blueprint for independent cinema. So if that's your jelly or your jam, you might want to check it out. It's Faces by Cassavetes. It's a good
call.
movie.
I need to check it out again.
Yeah. I know you and I also both like Man with a Movie Camera. That's another old good one by Vertov, the master. All right. Anyway, I digress. I got a joke for you. Lighten things up a little bit because you're so heavy.
Yeah.
Not only are you raw, but you're heavy. All right. So this joke, hot off the press here, it comes from Max the Axe. He supplies me with jokes. Sometimes they're on theme, sometimes they're not. Here we go. Let's see what he's got. All right. I asked the chef if he ever served a steak raw. He said, "Yep, but it's rare." All right. There you go.
Wow.
That's my joke. Yeah. I figured he must have known that we've shared many a rare steak.
Yeah.
Now you and I both eat less steak, but back then
Yeah.
it was
Well,
fun.
we're a little older too.
Back then it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great.
All right. Thanks for indulging me on that joke.
No, anytime.
Do you have advice for a young up and coming artist that you can share?
I mean, that's so funny because it always gets like that question gets posed a lot. I guess I'm getting older. I don't know about art. I have some advice for photographers though, but I guess this is transferable across anything where someone's trying to be creative. It's like the one thing that has served me best in my career has been doing the work. That's it. There's a blue collar ethic to being a successful artist or photographer that people don't really know until they do it. And whatever success I've had as a photographer, it's not because I'm like the greatest photographer or I have the best eye or I'm the most creative. Like, it's not even near that. It's because I do the work. I've put in the work. I've shot millions of frames, film, digital. I've thought about them. I've looked at them. It's all I've done. And my advice to like a young photographer is do the work. Like, you're not going to get better and people aren't going to know you unless you're doing the work. That's it. That's my one bit of advice. Because like in doing the work, you will develop a style. Right. I didn't have a style when I first started. I was just copying Ed Culver. Like, I was like, oh, I'll just put these rolls of Tri-X in my mom's old Nikon, show up to a punk rock show, figure out, I remember like, yeah, exposure, whatever. I didn't know anything about it. And I'm like, oh, flash. I mean, this is a long time ago, but like, I didn't have a style. I had like taste. I didn't even have taste. I had something that I knew was
You had
good.
passion.
I had passion. Yeah. And passion translated into taste and translated. And then you go down the line. Now I do have a style. Yeah. And it's come through endless amounts of taking crappy photos. You know, it's more like, it's like sculpture, like rocks. You got to chip away. And like, then at the end, you hopefully have something you're proud of. And as a photographer, it's a body of work. But you got to take a lot of photos. I mean, so many. And by the way, you can be a successful photographer and not put in the work. Like, you can have success. Capitalism, whatever, like companies will reward you. May be a great commercial photographer. Yeah. But the proof is in the pudding. When you're dead, what's your body of work going to look like? Is it only going to be freaking toothpaste spot like ads, which I've shot, which is awesome. Love toothpaste, by the way. But like, is that all? No one is going to remember me as a photographer for like the T-Mobile ads we shot, as great as they were. So, and some of them were pretty cool, Eric. It's the whole body of work. Right. And the body of work, emphasis on body, on a thing. It's bigger than just, you know, I shot 15 ads back in, 2006. It's like, yeah, okay.
All right. We've come to the last P of the pod. It's called Audio Alchemy. It's where we talk about music a little bit.
Okay.
I have to change hats for this.
No, you do? Like, literally, you're taking off your hat?
Yeah. Here you go. Take it off my hat.
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. That's a nice hat. That's cool.
What do you think?
Cool. I like it. I like that a lot, actually. That's cool.
This is my Audio Alchemy hat. Hopefully I remember to put it on each time. Maybe this P will die. We'll see. All right. This is where we talk about audio. And given our theme, I would like to know if there was a piece of music that was raw and unfiltered in your life that made a huge impact.
There's been a lot. So what I tell people, and which is true, this is true, is the record, Rain and Blood by Slayer. Their first record, particularly the song Raining Blood. It's not unique to me. There's tens of millions of people who, when they first heard this song, they knew that their life was different at the end of the song. I was one of those people. I knew that when those 4 minutes or whatever are over, I would never be the same. I just knew something had changed inside of me. For the better, I might add. For the better. And that gets, maybe this is like the full circle of what art really is to me. Raining Blood changed me. It made me see the world differently. It made me see that there was a world out there. And that's a lot to say about a Slayer song, but there's a lot of people who would say the same thing. Everything I've done since hearing that track, I can probably like draw a line to that moment, because everything I'm into, everything I value, it's
Can you explain what changed in you in the 4 minutes? Like, what was it that hit you in the gut? And then then what did you do moving forward?
Well, at a very young age, it wasn't anything I did differently. It was just that I got a peek of a different world. So that's one, right? That there was like kids are like listening to music or whatever, and it's like pop music, whatever garbage people are listening to, top 40 or whatever, like, which never sat well with me. I just was never into it. I didn't know why, but it just didn't sit well with me. But when I heard Slayer, I was like, oh, these opening 30 seconds, this is something I'm into. It's like fantasy, and it's heavy, and it sounds like something dark, and it sounds like something mysterious. But then, like, I remember opening up the tape gatefold or whatever the hell they called it, right? And seeing a photo of, like, I think it was Jeff Hanneman, or like, and I was just like, yeah, this guy's cool. Like, this is it. This is like, hell yeah. And so I think really it wasn't something that I was consciously aware of at such a young age, of like what they were singing about or what they were saying. It was just like a feeling that the music evoked. And then secondarily, or maybe more importantly to that, it was like opening up a world that I had never been privy to, that there was a bigger world out there than the one that I was in, or that at least I could even imagine in my head. And that, I guess that's what it did for me. It expanded my imagination. The way I process the world, the way I process art, is because I listened to that track and saw the artwork, and then A leads to B, leads to C, leads to 5, leads to 6, and now you and I are talking on your podcast. You and I would have never met had I not listened to Raining Blood. 100%. Never would have happened.
Yeah. I guess that's why I asked why. All right. Thank you for indulging me and sticking with me. I think we've come to the end, Gary. We did it.
I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. Whether we recorded or not, we'd be doing this anyway. So,
well, it's funny because I feel like I'm gonna turn this off and then we're gonna talk some more.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, anyway, it's been really good. I enjoy your rawness in all its glory and all its exposure, and I appreciate it. Keep being who you are, and I hope we get to see each other in person soon.
I hope so too, man. I think speaking with people about what makes them who they are is probably like one of the best uses of one's time here on Earth. And the fact that you're going down this journey, I commend you for it. I think it's a really worthwhile thing to do with one's time. So I look forward to listening to your other podcasts, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I got to get them out there. Here we go. Thank you, Gary. That was incredible. Always love talking to that guy. It's always a good conversation. We have reached the beginning of the end, and I have written one more 6-word libretto for Gary, and it goes like this. Gary, the raw artist, thank you. Now, I put these clothes back on. I actually talked to Gary several days ago, and I've been thinking a lot about that interview and how we might all be able to benefit a bit from that level of rawness. And I have a little experiment that I want to try. It's an experiment about managing those barriers that we all put up in our lives that keep us from being exposed and raw. Most of us edit ourselves every single day. Social media plays a big part in that. but it goes far beyond social media. It actually has been around way before social media. We did the same thing. We do edit ourselves a lot more than we think. We edit, what we say. We edit our feelings. We protect ourselves from what we think might be misunderstood or judged or rejected. In this cancel culture, we're all treading lightly, trying to figure out how to present ourselves. And over time, those barriers that we put up start to become more permanent. The longer they're there, we kind of forget that they're barriers and they just become a part of us, but it's not who we really are. And so here's the challenge. I want you to ask yourself, what is it that you're editing or protecting in your life? Are there opinions that you're not sharing or holding back? Do you have feelings that you keep inside? Is there work that you don't want to show for fear of judgment? Whatever it is, pick one of those and then start to figure out how you can open up and be more honest with that. For example, maybe you want to tell someone what you really think, or it's okay to admit that you don't know something or that you were wrong and it's okay. Or you want to say no when you really mean no, or you want to say yes when you really mean yes. For example, I've started to address people when they come up with a common greeting, like how are you? What's up? How you doing? Some of those. I actually take the time and I answer truthfully. I really tell them how I'm feeling or what I'm doing or what's up in my life at the moment. Like I'll tell them, and it's amazing how they come back and open up themselves and start to talk and let down some of their guard. So whatever it is that you do, pay attention to the effect that it has on others and to the effect that it has on you and how it makes you feel. And I'm telling you, you're going to discover that thing that you're usually hiding behind is really, really the thing that makes you most human. And to me, that's what raw is. And I hope it works. Good luck. Let me know how it goes. That's it from this side of things. If you want more content, we have a newsletter. We talk about Lady Gaga's raw dress that she wore to the MTV Music Awards, and we also touch on the artist that got paid $200 million to do an office mural. Anyway, we also have a phone number. If you want to text us or call us, go ahead. It's +1 646 580 0450. That is it. I am out. Until next time, please remember that raw meat feeds the lion and cooked meat feeds the guest. And this apricot right here is going to feed me right now. Oh, it's really good. Really good. All right. I'll talk to you later.